Okay. So I just want to sharing some of the topic related to the situational analysis. You can somehow unmute if you want to ask the question. Okay. So, is there any of you heard about this term, situational analysis? What is actually situational analysis is about? Any of you have come across with this term? Or
No, not yet.
alah, sama je sebenarnya. Sama macam research je. Any of you can unmute your speaker, your mic, sorry. So actually, ada dekat chat ke? Mana nak tekan chat ni? Oh, sini. Okay, so what I want to touch is somehow when when you make your proposal defense or your thesis, it somehow have the thing is somehow same like what you have done for your research methodology, something like that, for the motivation, but it is somehow to make it firm or systematically to arrange all your data to the correct form, something like that. Okay. Okay. So what I found, some of the the situational analysis normally being used by a company where they have a SWOT analysis. Okay. Normally they have, for example, they have a product. Okay. So there is a product, and then what their situational analysis is what the situation analysis on that time. Okay, so normally for the companies we use SWOT analysis. There is the strength, the weakness, opportunity, and threat. Okay, so with that tools, SWOT analysis, it somehow the SWOT tool is actually one of the element in the situational analysis for the company to somehow plan the action. Okay. So in research, so from the business, from the marketing side, from the business sides, from the company strategy, from this situational analysis, it's come to the research. So it's the research is somehow, there are several researchers use this situational analysis. Okay, so one of the there's a lot of terms for what is a situational analysis is. Okay, well, the first one is where somehow it's very close to us, where you have, when you want to do the research, right? Framework for analyzing complex situation and identifying key principle for effective action. Okay, so when you have your research, your problem background, there is a complex situation, right, where you have the literature review and all those things. So how you want to identify key principle for your next action? What is your research methodology after that? What is the, when you do the research methodology, so what is the benefit or things behind it? Okay, so that is one of the somehow the definition from this researcher, and Priestley. And there is also another researcher that very this is the second edition for this this researcher, it's actually a method of qualitative analysis that has evolved from grounded theory. So there is a grounded theory is somehow it's from the situation or environment state for that. Okay, so that is somehow from this grounded theory, it's become a method of qualitative analysis. So most of the researcher is based on this researcher findings. Okay, and actually for the things are very general. So this is another one. It involves situation, social phenomena with a big picture. So somehow when you make this situational analysis, you can see the whole picture of your research. Okay, so the big picture of the whole research of yours. Okay, so this is some of the basics what is situation analysis about. Okay, okay. Normally when you want to do the situation analysis, there are some of the questions that you have to cover. For example, here, what is the current situation? What is the desired condition? Okay, so for example, your research, what is the current situation? What is the problem right now? So what you want to that current situation to be? So what is the desired condition should be? Something like that. Okay, and why does the discrepancy exist? Okay, this is some why the things happen, something. Okay, and another question where you can see what are existing strength and opportunity that can be built up. Okay, so normally this is one of the element that you have to list out. Okay, the strength and the opportunity, and what are existing barrier, the constraint to make the desired condition. Okay, so what is the problem, something. Okay, and another one is what are evidence-based solution for this problem. So it's based on your literature. So what somehow current researcher have done, what is current researcher doing for the techniques. Okay, so basically what you can see here, the question is more to your research question, something like that. Okay, but this is one of the how it's analyzed, the situation analysis here. Okay, so when to use the situational analysis here, so some of it is actually want to answering this how, what, who, where, when, your research questions. So actually you have done in your research, you have somehow looked for the question for your research questions for this, but how you want to somehow make it in a systematic way. Okay, there is another way is when to use is Chibble method for analysis for interview, observational, ethnographic, document, and discursive material, and it's less compatible with narrative approach. Okay, what will it be used for? So somehow in our research, in your research, okay, why we need that situational analysis? Okay, some of it is actually you want to get the action plan. Okay, so it's become your situational analysis become the fundamental to your research framework, to your research process, or maybe. Okay, because the action plan is actually guide you for the current and the future work that you want to do later on. Okay, so this is what I mentioned. Okay, so normally in the you can identify also the strength and the gaps, the opportunity. That is somehow the SWOT, the strength, weaknesses, opportunity, and the threat. So there are several tools that normally used within using the situational analysis. Okay. So one of the tool is SWOT tool. There is a lot of other tools. I can see. Apa dah nama dia? I forgot the tools name. Okay, but the normal or the very basic tools is using the SWOT tool. Okay, so this is normal. Even the company for the marketing businesses always use this SWOT tool, the strength, weaknesses, opportunity, and threat to analyze the current situation and what to be in the desired situation. Okay. So for the clerk, okay, for this researcher, to do the situation analysis, there are several things that they are using by these three maps. Okay, one is situational map. This is considered as situational map. Then this is social world and arena map. This is the second one, and the positional maps. Okay, this is positional map. So each of it have a different kind of ways to plot the current situation and the desired situation. Okay, I'm not going into detail for this. Maybe you can see for this researcher. Okay, so I prefer to look at this researcher and Priestley, where the situational analysis process is by these four category. Okay, the first category is setting up, data gathering, analysis and synthesis, and taking action. Okay, so there are actually 10 steps to or 10 step of the process. Okay, so if you look at this process, it's somehow same what you have done in your research with the research process. Okay, where you have here setting up, focusing in inquiry, where you somehow observe, okay, appreciative reframing, negotiation of process. So this is somehow the process where you get the problem formulation. Okay, you get the problem here with this kind of setting up, and then where the next step is data gathering, where the planning of for data collection of data. Okay, and the next step is analyze and synthesize. So here is analysis of dimension, principle for action. Okay, and the next step is taking action, and it's plan new activity, implement plan and review the research, okay, or the project. Okay, basically there are four basics situation analysis here: ecological, appreciative, data supported, and negotiation. So this is not important for the research, but the important part is more to the process, how you want to make the your research become more better. Okay, so I just want to show you some of the several situational analysis that have been done. Okay, so normally in this situational analysis, when you do your thesis, you can include whether it is in your motivation or it's in your chapter 3. Okay, the chapter 3 is as a fundamental of your research framework and your research process. Okay, but it depends on how you construct it. So normally it's divided in these three parts: challenges, factors, and objectives. Why is that objective? Because this is where your action plan after that to be. Okay, so for example here, okay, the challenge. So what is the problem right now? So you can have these two kind of problem. For example here, this is related to the web service. Okay, so from this big challenge here, what is the very very basics or the details problem, okay, inside it. So based on this challenge is what is the factor of this challenge due to what? Okay, same with this one. Okay, and why? Then you have your objective, right? Then the objective is based on this factor, you solve using what? Okay, and for example here, enrich the ontology. So how you want to enrich the ontology in your objective? So this is the somehow the solution. So you have to design, you have to something here, design the web service description, and this is the objective of the second objective. So this is the what you have to do in that objective. Okay, basically this is what you have done in your research chapter 3, but you can also make it a motivation or into chapter 3. Okay, so this is normally this is divided into 3 parts here. Okay, so another example here. Okay, so this is related to the AR, augmented reality. Okay, so this is the factor of the problem. Okay, the challenge here. Okay, so this factor will cause what, and then the objective. This is the main objective. So with this main objective, is able to what? Okay, determine the quality of user experience, standardize. Okay, so this is one of the example of the situational analysis in research. Another situational analysis is from this Dr. Anis Farihan. Okay, so this is very detailed of situational analysis. So it's somehow make this challenge become 2 parts. The challenge, this is related to the iris. Okay, so the challenge in fusion, iris and recognition here, and then will cause with what? Maybe it's not too visible here. Here the factors, due to what factors with this challenge? With this challenge, what the factors are due to what? And then the objective, okay. So the proper solution is this is the main objective. So from the main objective, what you want to do, determine, manipulate what, estimate what, respond what, okay, improve what, something like that. Okay, so this is one of the example of the situation in research. And another one is from Dr. Rohayanti. There is another, this is related to bioinformatics. So same, it is divided into 3, challenge, factor, and objective. Okay, so it's detailed up the challenge and due to what, okay, and solve using what. And this is the detail of the to overcome this, what to do. Okay, so that is several examples that I can show you how you can compress what you have done in this systematic way. Okay, with these 3 divided parts: challenge, factor, and objective here. Yeah. So actually, what is the importance of this situational analysis? So somehow it's define the nature and scope of problem. It's actually the current strategy. It's become to you can identify the current strategy and activity in place to overcome the problem. Okay, understand the opinion of experience, or this is somehow like your literature. Okay, you get the literature review, give comprehensive view of current situation. You can detect the gaps between the current states. Okay, and information necessary to create plan to reach the goal, identify the best course of action to take during the research, and somehow this is that effort and action are not repeated and vastly unnecessary. So when you make that view, okay, you divided that 3 parts, you can see why you do that, why you do this objective, why you create this objective 1, objective 2, objective 3, because of what kind of problem, and then why you, for example, make some of the activity in that objective because of what is the goals to somehow to what you want to get from that, right? So that is somehow the very basic when you get that comprehensive situation analysis. Okay, so the final talk is somehow it is actually the situation analysis is the analytical focus, or we can say as a key unit of analysis, and it's understanding the elements in the situation and the primary goal, and so somehow it's become the tick analysis because you somehow already done the analysis, but normal what I can see, the information and data is scattered. You cannot some of the student cannot really arrange it in the systematic way. So when you look at the example here that I mentioned, so you can somehow look back your objective, your challenge, and what is the problem background is somehow you plot it, your problem background and problem statement, you plot it in this kinds of this way. Okay, so I think that's all for my sharing. Any questions? I took a little bit more. Ada? Okay, so if no more questions, I would like to call for the next presenter. Okay, if no question, semua boleh faham ke apa situational analysis ni?
Dr. Azizah.
Yes, Dr. Salisu.
Situational analysis. So we will use it in chapter 3 lah, specifically.
What I can see, some of the researcher put in the chapter 3, it's become the fundamental of the research framework and the research process. But some of the thesis I can found that they put in the motivation because there is a problem background. Then it's come to the objective because why the objective is created, something like that. So it depends to put, because some of the student put in the chapter 3, some of the put in the motivation in chapter 1. It's depend, I think. All right, so sorry, Dr. Shaliza, tak dengar pula.
Sorry. My network is not okay. So basically, seems that if you use situational analysis in the motivation, it seems clearer for.
Yeah. I think for myself, before this, I put in the motivation because it somehow look because it somehow want to compress all the problem background, and it's become the objective lah later on. But for example, Dr. Anis Farihan used it in the chapter 3. It's because it's justified it as a fundamental to the research framework, her research framework, something.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Azizah.
All right. Okay. For the next presenter, if there's no other questions, I over to Salisu for the next presenter.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullah.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi.
Okay, I hope everybody can hear me.
I can hear you. I hope others also can hear you.
Okay, mashallah. Good afternoon. My name is Salisu Garba. I am from Nigeria. I am a PhD student currently in my 6th semester, and I am hoping to submit my thesis very soon, inshallah. And I'm here to present my research with the title Self-Adaptive Service Discovery Framework for Dynamic Mobile Environment. Before I go into the presentation, I would like to extend my profound gratitude to my supervisors, Prof. Razia and Prof. Azizah, for their impeccable support and insightful guidance throughout this journey. I would like to thank you also, the students and other lecturers here present, for finding time to look at our work and help us make it better. Okay, thank you. We look forward to your suggestions. So here is the outline of the presentation. According to the chapters, we start with the introduction, followed by the literature review, the research methodology, then the proposed framework, the context model, the mobile web service categorization, followed by the empirical evaluation, and lastly, the conclusion. So we start with the introduction. The main basic construct of my research is SOA, which is service-oriented architecture. It is an approach that uses loosely coupled services, standard interface and protocol for seamless cross-platform integration. So SOA normally employs services to deal with interoperability and heterogeneity challenges. The mobile web services are lightweight, self-contained modular applications that are published, discovered, and accessed across the internet. While the self-adaptive discovery framework is a kind of framework that assesses its behavior and propose alternative solution to withdraw service, at whatever point the assessment demonstrates that the service have failed according to its functions or according to its quality values, or the service does not fit the required context. So this is an overview of the service discovery in dynamic mobile environment. In figure A, we can see that the mobile web services are provided by mobile users, and then the consumers is also a mobile consumer. After a provider publish a service, then the requester or the consumer can find that service. Here, instead of using the standard protocol that is UDDI, it used a local registry. And here in figure B, you can see the dynamic mobile environment and some of its features. You can see that there is a limited device capability. The users are diverse, the devices are diverse, and the environment keeps changing. So what are the challenges in mobile web service discovery in dynamic mobile environment? There are a lot of challenges in this kind of situation. We have challenges that come from the environment itself. Other challenges come from the mobile web services, while other challenges come from the matchmaking and the adaptivity issues as well as context. So some of the challenges here is that there is a use of traditional matchmaking techniques that are constrained by specific mobile web service description. There is also proliferation of functionally similar web services coupled by the dynamic mobile environment changes. There's also a use of limited context parameters to make a generalized decision And sometimes the context or the quality of services are allocated with arbitrary values, which does not bode well with dynamic mobile environment. So there are a lot of researches that try to solve and deal with these challenges. However, the accuracy of such frameworks that are proposed can be improved. Why do they need to improve? One of the problem is that there is a coarse-grained mobile web service categorization, which find it difficult or fail to deal with the proliferation of mobile web services. Secondly, the models also that are used to organize the large heterogeneous context in dynamic mobile environment are insufficiently expressive, inadequately extensible, and slightly fragmented. And the matchmaking most of the time requires manual adjustment or requires the user to modify his request before a relevant mobile web service is returned. So these are other motivations that motivate this research. We can see that the mobile is the future. If you look at the statistics, the number of billions of users that are currently accessing the internet, and there is a prediction that the mobile will be the primary tool used in accessing the internet, and that is no longer a prediction, it is reality. And also the benefit of mobile web services, which includes reusability, interoperability. And if we look at the mobile applications, generally now relies on mobile web services. So this is the aim and objective of the research. Given the challenges and the limitations discussed, this research aimed to design a self-adaptive discovery framework for dynamic mobile environment with an improved accuracy and effectiveness. So to achieve the main aim of this research, 4 objectives that target different components of the mobile web service discovery framework for improvement are derived. This includes designing a categorization approach, designing a context ontology, and also designing a self-adaptive matchmaking algorithm, and then the evaluation of the framework in terms of performance and accuracy with case studies and using appropriate metrics. So the literature review. In the literature review, we carried out 2 things, or we can say that it is carried out in 2 phases. In the first phase, we look at the dimension of the mobile web service discovery and its related topics. This helps us to comprehend the issues related to each phase and each component. Then secondly, we conduct a systematic literature review, which helps us to zoom in on the discovery to find the current trends and what are the current solutions and what are the issues with those current solutions available. So this is the dimension of the service discovery framework. Here you can see that the environment is there, the discovery techniques are also there, the mobile web service organization is there, the discovery scheme, the description of the web services are all looked at in the first phase of the literature review. Then in the second phase of the literature review, we carried out the systematic literature review, which is an evidence-based software engineering approach, and it offers a system for developing new insights through critical evaluation of existing research, especially when there is wide number of research available in a given domain. So these are the 3 stages of conducting the systematic literature review. So in summary, these are the gaps that we identify from the literature review. 1, there is a coarse-grained mobile web service categorization approach that failed to deal with the proliferation of mobile web services, and this leads to a huge search space in the discovery. The matchmaker is also constrained by infinite loop, design time adaptation, and so on. The context model is also constricted by insufficient expressiveness, predefined context with arbitrary values. So the methodology. Here is the research framework. and the research process. We look at the research framework from a problem perspective, in which the main problem and three sub-problems are illustrated. The second part of the framework shows the design of the solutions to each of the sub-problems. The research process consists of 6 phases. The phase 1 is the theoretical foundation of the research. Phase 2 is where objective 1 is achieved. Phase 3 is where objective 2 is achieved. Phase 4 is where objective 3 is achieved. Phase 5 is where objective 4 is achieved. And finally, phase 6 is where the result is documented and presented. So for the experimentation and the evaluation, we identify relevant data sets and also evaluation metrics, as well as the instruments that are needed for the research. So here we have 2 data sets, that is the HRES data set and then the programmable web data set. The programmable data set is actually one of the contemporary, consistent, and the largest mobile web service collection from different domains publicly accessible for evaluation. And then for the evaluation metrics, we have recall, precision, F1 score, micro average precision, normalized discounted cumulative gain as used by related research. So the instruments that we use in this research includes Anaconda, which contain the notebook, and Spider. We use Protege for the model, and Palette Reasoner, then the system specifications. So to demonstrate the applicability of our research, we look at case studies. Here we identify 12 case studies from smart healthcare and smart agriculture domain, given that the use of mobile web service in this domain and how this domain affects many of the sustainable development goals of the United Nations. So here is the research mapping to provide a clearer understanding as well as to streamline the entire research. The objective correspond to the research goals. The research question correspond to the questions in GQM, that is the goal question metric. Then the methodology consists of metrics, which also correspond to the metrics in goal question metrics, and then the expected deliverables. So this is the proposed framework. As you can see from the illustration, the overall self-adaptive framework comprises of 3 distinctive parts. That is the mobile web service provisioning, the mobile web service matchmaking, and the mobile web service requesting. So the request handler is responsible for passing a user request to obtain keywords, acquire fresh context from the information based on the user. The context manager is responsible for collecting, organizing, and composing the context information. The categorization is responsible for placing a mobile web service in an appropriate category so as to simplify the matchmaking. And the matchmaker is responsible for performing the match between the request and the offer. So in our research, we target the mobile web service categorization part, the context modeling part, the matchmaking part for improvement. You can see that they are highlighted in red cycles. So this is the proposed self-adaptive mobile web service matchmaker. For short, you can call it SAM. It contains 2 phases, or we can say that we structure it in 2 phases, given that we designed this matchmaker based on modified negative selection algorithm. So the first phase, we call it a service relevance learning. In the service relevance learning is where detectors are generated and optimized on the available mobile web services. And in the second phase is where the matchmaking takes place and the adaptation when the need arises, depending on the result or the changes. The algorithm that details the processes are shown in the next slide. So these two phases, we transform them into an algorithm, and we will explain the algorithm. So this is the service relevance lineage algorithm, which corresponds to the first phase of the matchmaker. In the service relevance lineage algorithm, we have some parameters that needs to be set, such as the SEP radius, the estimated coverage, the maximum number of detectors. So after we set the parameters, we now generate detectors depending on the number of mobile web service categories that we have available. As you can see in line 7, if you have 10 categories, then you have to generate the detectors for 10 categories. Then if you look at step 8 through 10, it describes the matching process between the randomly generated detectors and the mobile web services available, while step 12 through 22 describe the conditions that enable the addition and the counting of the detectors already generated. The estimated coverage and the maximum number of detectors are used as stopping criteria, as you can see in line 6. So by the side is a simplified version of the pseudocode. Sorry? Okay, thank you. So here is the self-adaptive matchmaking algorithm. The input of this algorithm are the mobile web service request and the initial detector generated in algorithm 1. That is the previous algorithm. If you look at it, step 6 through 20 describe the matching process between a mobile web service request and a mobile web service offer with 5 degrees of match, which means it can be exact matching, it can be plug-in, it can be subsumption, it can be intersection, or there can be a mismatch when the services are not desirable. So after that, there is the sub-adaptation, which is from 21 to 28. We created a kind of feedback which contains the new request. Whenever there is a return services that does not go above the threshold, a new detector needs to be generated. Okay. So in summary, we have 3 things here for this chapter. We have the problem, we have the result, and the discussion. So here you can see that the problem that we try to solve is the unpredictable changes in dynamic mobile environment, the irrelevant discovery of the mobile web service, the continuous iteration that leads to infinite loop, and the matchmaking algorithm that is constructed by design time adaptation. So what we come up with is that we produce a self-adaptive matchmaker based on the modified negative selection algorithm, which consists of service relevance learning and a self-adaptive matchmaking algorithm. So the service relevance learning help in dealing with the irrelevant discovery of the service. The matchmaking algorithm is pitted with a feedback loop, which serves as a reinforcement learning to improve the detectors already generated. So if you look at it as a whole, it helps improve certain part of the mobile web service discovery framework. Okay, thank you. So this is the proposed context model. So in the proposed context model, we propose a meta context model. A meta context model is a kind of model that is used to describe super context and subcontext. This is actually a better way of representing context to enable easy extendability. We know that context is any information that characterizes a situation of an entity. So that entity can be the service requester, can be the environment, and also can be the service itself. So the ontology is used to limit complexity and organize context information provide relevant mobile web services. So as required by the context interaction schema, the context ontology comprises of 3 classes horizontally, that is the internal context, the external context, and the boundary context. The internal context is actually the fundamental context, and the other 2, that is the external context and the boundary context, are there to support the fundamental context. So the external context defines the environment of the internal context, while the boundary context defines the kind of services that the fundamental context may require. So here we define the ontology based on the 5 Ws, that is who, when, where, what, and why, which is considered the most appropriate context classification. And the motive behind the hierarchical design, where we have meta context, domain-specific ontology, and also the instances, is to provide the needed extensibility and also the expressiveness. So to create the ontology, we use open light methodology. The open light methodology is a methodology that is used to create ontology. There is also other methodologies such as metontology. However, we choose open light methodology because it enables reuse of other existing ontologies. So therefore, you don't have to start from scratch. If there are other ontologies that touch some part of the area, you can use those ontologies to create your own ontology. Then we also employ future-oriented domain analysis to capture commonality and the variability within the domain. So in this case, the 12 case studies that we have mentioned in our methodology are used to capture or to identify the commonality as well as the variability. With the identified commonality and variability within the context properties, the context ontology can be developed with flexibility as well as reusability also. So this is part of the proposed ontology, which describes the user. The user may have an activity, may have a preference, device, the profile, which help in collecting context that will help in determining relevant services for this user and also irrelevant services for a particular user. So here are the ontology classes and properties in Protege. You can see that the relationship such as has characteristics or is located in are used to show the interaction between the ontology concepts based on the properties and attributes that describe the context. So this is the domain applicability. As with any ontology, it is important to evaluate the applicability with a real data in a real case study. So for this purpose, we identify 2 case studies from the 12 case studies that we use to demonstrate the applicability of our ontology, which is the SUST-Age Smart Healthcare System and the A2S Smart Agricultural System. So this is the example of instantiation and the consistency checking. You can see that in the first figure, the SUST-Age Smart Healthcare System is instantiated in our proposed ontology. And also, you can see that from the second figure, the result of the consistency checking using Protege with pellet reasoner, which shows that the ontology is coherent and consistent. So in summary, some of the problems that we deemed it is necessary to propose a context ontology include the unpredictable changes in dynamic mobile environment and the inadequate extensibility of the context ontology, the predefined context with arbitrary values, and also the use of limited context to make a generalized decision. We propose an ontology which is extensible, and it can represent the heterogeneous context information. We also shows the applicability of using future-oriented domain analysis to help us in capturing the commonality and the variability within a given domain. And also we demonstrate the applicability of the ontology in two domains, that is the smart healthcare and the smart agriculture. So the discussion here, why this is important for the self-adaptive discovery framework. With this ontology, we can easily organize the information, and also by organizing the information, the service relevance learning can be able to understand and learn which services are relevant based on a given context and which services are irrelevant based on a given context. This will definitely help the accuracy and the effectiveness of the framework. So next is the mobile web service categorization. The proposed mobile web service categorization approach for the self-adaptive discovery is also based on modified negative selection algorithm, and it is designed to boost the performance of the mobile web service discovery. The structure of the proposed categorization approach consists of three phases, as you can see. The first phase is where the pre-processing takes place, which involves selection of mobile web service features, extracting the features, the use of NLTK, that is natural language processing, to extract features, given that the mobile web service is described using natural language in a href. And then we use elbow point to determine the number of categories. Then in the second phase is where the initial detectors are generated. Then in the third phase is where the categorization takes place, which help in assigning a mobile web service to a category based on the affinity measure. Okay, thank you. So these are the algorithms that guide the mobile web service categorization process. This algorithm, we use it to formulate the categories. As you can see, step 4 through 8 describe how the goals are extracted from a mobile web service description combined with tags parameters and converted into tokens using natural language processing toolkit. Step 10 through 19 of the algorithm describe how the profile of the categories is formulated. And then step 16 through 19, you can see that there is a threshold that is introduced to ensure that only mobile web service with certain level of similarity values are added into the initial set of detectors. So this is the mobile web service categorization algorithm, which guides the categorization process. You can see that step 1 through 4 shows the input and the output of the categorization algorithm. If you look at it carefully, you can see that the initial set of detectors from the previous algorithm are used as the input for this algorithm. If you look at step 6 through 9 shows the censoring phase or the censoring process, which involved random generation of additional detectors to update the initial set of detectors. In step 10 through 15, the monitoring phase begin by comparing the affinity value obtained in the censoring phase with the threshold value to ensure accurate categorization of the mobile web services. So here is how we evaluate the categorization approach. We crawl the mobile web service information, which is basically there in the programmable web dataset. We identify the features and we extract the features, that is the goals and tags. We apply the two algorithms and we obtain the result. So this is the result of the mobile web service categorization. As you can see that in figure A, it shows a visualization after the pre-processing and a dimension reduction, that is prior to the categorization. In figure B, you can see the categories in two-dimensional feature vector. In figure C, you can see the ground truth, which is the mobile web service in different categories from the data set and what we were able to obtain. Then in the table, you can see the comparison between our categorization approach and other related approach which try to categorize mobile web service to help improve the discovery. So here is the summary of the categorization chapter. Why do we need the categorization? One, there is a proliferation of functionally similar web services. And two, the approaches that try to categorize the web services are coarse-grained, which means that they did not look at the details, the fine details of every mobile web service description. And then two, there is a cold start. Whenever you start the discovery with a huge space, actually the discovery may not necessarily provide the desired relevant services. So what is our result here? We were able to provide a qualitative feature extraction technique to capture the mobile web service features, that is the goals and the tags. We also enhanced the mobile web service categorization. Then we were able to reduce the mobile web service search space. So the implication here is that by categorizing, you reduce the search space and only the target category is used in the matchmaking. For example, if a mobile web service is only about health, then the category that contains the health mobile web service will be targeted for the matchmaking instead of looking at the entire space, which help in reducing the response time of the discovery and also improve the general accuracy and effectiveness of the discovery framework. So the evaluation, to evaluate our SAM framework, that is the self-adaptive discovery framework, we try to show the applicability. And here we select one of the domain also that we discussed in chapter 3, which is this H Smart Healthcare System. We use a request, and that request is supposed to recommend a task to a worker by monitoring his health status and the environmental conditions. So here the categorization approach ensures that the target category is health monitoring. So several mobile web services are returned based on the service relevance learning, which means that all the web services that will be returned even before the matchmaking are relevant mobile web services, given the service relevance learning algorithm that we created. Then the SAM framework ensures that is the matchmaking algorithm, ensures that only mobile web services that fit the required context are returned. So if you look at the request here, you can see that the operations include crane operator, a dock worker, 80%, the seaport dock is the location, the temperature is low, and then in the morning. So by looking at the parameters of the request, the matchmaker was able to perform the matchmaking. And without the matchmaker, actually all these web services from number 1 to 10 are relevant. All of them are relevant. However, looking at the context information and every other necessary information regarding the user, regarding the service itself, and regarding the condition or the environment, only 3 mobile web services are highly relevant, which is mobile web service number 3, number 5, and number 6. If you look at the second table, due to changes in context parameters, that is the time and location, the mobile web services that are most likely to deliver the required functionality are no longer mobile web service 3, mobile web service 5, or mobile web service 6. Now it is mobile web service 7 and mobile web service 8. This is just by changing 2 parameters. How about if you have a change in like 5, 10, 20 parameters? Because we all know that context has a lot of parameters, 100, more than 100 parameters. Okay. So this is the evaluation of the service relevance learning.
Excuse me, Salisu.
Yes.
You already 30 minutes. Is there more longer?
Yes, there is a little bit more, but I can shorten the discussion.
All right.
Okay, thank you. So this is the evaluation of the service relevance learning. We try to evaluate different fitness of the service relevance learning. We come up with 3 of them. And from the result that we obtain, the first one is much more better in terms of differentiate relevant from irrelevant than the others. As you can see that it has a rate of 90% and a false alarm rate of 26. So this is the comparison in terms of detection rate and the comparison of the false alarm rate. This is also the evaluation of the SAM framework in terms of precision, recall, add measure, all the metrics that we define in chapter 3. You can see that it was able to achieve 91.67 precision, and also the other metrics it performed very well. Here is the comparative evaluation with the related frameworks. Here you can see that it performed a little bit better. Well, I will not say a little bit, much better than the related frameworks that employs other strategies, other processes. So here is the significant testing, and you can see that the significant is 0.00, which demonstrates that we can reject the null hypothesis, which means there is a statistical significant improvement in our framework compared to before our framework. So here is the summary of the evaluation. Then the conclusion. Here is the summary of the research, where we have the aim, the research question, and also the sub-question. From the questions, we have the objective, and for each objective, we have the output, which is the categorization approach, the context ontology, the self-adaptive matchmaking algorithm, as well as the evaluation result. So here is our contribution to the software engineering body of knowledge and the software engineering practice. For the software engineering body of knowledge, you can see that we contribute to the software design strategy, we contribute to the computational foundation, and also we contribute to the service-oriented architecture. As for the software engineering, that is the SWEP, the practice, we were able to contribute the categorization algorithm, the also ontology, as well as the framework itself. So for the future, we look at areas like gauging the level of adaptiveness of the framework. We also look at the deep learning methodology to improve the framework. We also look at the development of prototype for the discovery, and also the development of standard empirical evaluation, given that the description of the web service has changed and the environment for the discovery also has changed, which invalidates or make other empirical evaluation environment less applicable. So this is our publication so far. We have 7 and 4 are already accepted or published already, and we have 3 currently, or 2 because under review. So thank you very much. We look forward to your questions and suggestions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Salisu. So members of the floor, any questions? Okay, I can see from the chat, from the Lukman, is the proposed algorithm a supervised or unsupervised learning algorithm?
It is supervised.
Supervised algorithm, right? Okay.
Yes.
Any other
But actually, sorry?
And you can proceed.
Okay, in the beginning, that is the categorization approach. Actually, we started with unsupervised because by that time we are not sure of the profile of each category. So we first use unsupervised algorithm to create a profile for each category. Then after that, we now realize that, okay, this is the profile of this category. Then from there, in the other algorithms we now use supervised learning.
Okay. So
Thank
any
you.
other questions from members?
Assalamualaikum, Salisu.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullah.
Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
Okay, I just want to know, can you explain what are the differences between self-adaptive and non-self-adaptive?
Okay, the self-adaptive, specifically for our own case, is a kind of framework that normally look at certain features, based on those assessments, determine whether there is a need to adjust the output or there is no need to adjust the output. For a non-adaptive algorithm, even after looking at those features, the result remains the same. The algorithm is not designed to change in case of any changes in the context or any change in the environment or any change in the service context or the requester's context.
Okay, is there any previous works working on the self-adaptive mobile service discovery?
Yes, there are some other approaches. I think I have shown a comparison with some of those approaches. However, those approaches look at it from a different, a slightly different perspective than our own. They try to create a model whereby the adaptation only takes place after you now collect output after a certain period of time, let's say 10 months, 5 months, 3 months, update the model, and then plug it back in and then perform the discovery.
Okay, then how you validate your final output of your research? Okay, you propose the self-adaptive, right? And then how you
Yes.
validate that your proposed framework is better than the previous work?
Okay, the method of evaluation, we look at it in such a way that these proposed approaches that we compare with, they use similar data set the way we did. They also try to solve a similar problem the way we did. And also, they try to propose a framework for mobile web service discovery. So actually, we are not proposing the framework to deal with other areas of adaptation. We are only proposing it to help the web service discovery.
Okay. Okay. So far, that's my question.
Okay. Thank you very much for your question.
Okay.
Thank you, Dr. Adham, for the questions.
Assalamu alaikum. Here is Mujtaba. I have a question.
Okay, Mujtaba, go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum, brother. Many congratulations for your achievement and very good work, mashallah. I can see you have done a very good job. Just as a advice, as in new students, can you also give us more hints and suggestions that we can perform like you and in a good manner, just as advice?
Okay, Mujtaba, thank you. Well, the only advice I can give you is that make sure you follow the footsteps of those that did very well. Like my work now, I am following the footsteps of Dr. Azizah and Dr. Azizah. So with their guidance, I was able to learn a lot and I was able to do a lot of things.
Okay, mashallah. Another question regarding when you say we, so but you write that I have done the work independently. Just my only question, curious, because I'm new. Shall we say we or I?
We should say the.
We should say, okay.
Yes,
means it is your work, but with the supervision of your professors.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Well, the other lecturers in the house, can give you more information regarding this, your questions, than me. I'm still a student, so I believe they're in better position to help us.
Ask professors, yeah.
Yeah.
Azizah can.
Normally we use we. Okay. But
Fine.
in the thesis, we not mentioned explicitly as we. Normally, it's in the conference, something like that.
Yes.
But in the thesis, we mention as the this study or this research, something like that. So we point as this study or this in the thesis. So the way of you mention different. It is different way in your thesis and the conference or paper or journal paper.
Okay. So in the anywhere we or I mean, just it should be, let's say, we have to formulate the things in thesis, and when we present, we should say we, okay, in that we presented or we have these results or we evaluated like this.
Yes, normally we use we.
Okay, then another question of, can you go to the slide 1, please?
Okay.
Salisu, brother Salisu, can you go to slide 1? Slide.
The first one, right?
Yeah, first one, yeah. I mean, title one, the second, okay, you can say second one, yeah. Second one, next one, please.
Yeah.
Yeah, here you have used the color notations, you know. Let's say you have used the color notations, let's say introduction and research methodology with this,
Yes.
let's say, an orange color. Then comes green color, then blue color. Is there any significance just for the curiosity, you know?
Okay, Mujitaba, it is just to differentiate, you know, chapter 1, 2, and 3 are basically what describe the research, and chapter 3, 4, and 5, I mean, yes, chapter 4, 5, and 6 are what we propose, and chapter 7 and chapter 8 is the evaluation and the conclusion.
Okay.
So it is just to show that this is the stages.
Fine. We can use our own colors.
Yes.
No, the color is important,
in the
but
form of
somehow
testing.
it's
Yes.
not so important.
In the form of yeah, in the form, let's say testing, you know. Testing, when we say, okay, it is a red color, it is a danger color, you know, that we have errors.
So basically, what Salisu did is somehow the chapter 4, 5, 6 is the proposed objective. Okay, for example, maybe chapter 4 is the objective. Which objective? Chapter 4.
The chapter 4 is the fourth objective.
Framework.
Okay, so somehow the chapter 4, 5, 6 is somehow the big output or the big finding from your objective. So
Yes.
it's become one chapter and another chapter. So this is the works, the chapter 4, 5, 6, and
so those are the objective 1, 2, and 3, for example, or is it
not necessary. Chapter 4, objective 1, chapter 5, not necessary like that. But what is the big output?
Okay.
Okay. For that.
Okay. The last one. Can you go to the last slide, please? Conclusion.
Okay. Last slide. Okay. The conclusion part, right?
I think some mappings, you know, I just want to see the mappings. No. This
the mapping is in chapter 3.
Yes. Some very chapter 3 that you have mapped the entire, you know, the, let's say, goals, achievements, questions that I want to see.
That one is the latter one before that contribution. the mapping, the research summary. I think Mujtaba asked for the research summary.
Okay, the summary, not this. Okay, each of the objective actually has a summary. He's talking about this.
The maps, somewhere.
No, research summary that you are having objective control.
Oh, I see now. Okay, thank you. He's talking about this. Okay.
You have analyzed, you have made a lot of research. First, then you found those are the gaps in the research questions. Yeah, what I see,
Yes.
research question 1 in the file. Okay, but let's say then you made your analysis and then you went to the objectives. I mean, then you made your algorithm as well as then you made what I should say, your framework. Then you found the things, right? This is systematic.
Yes.
So yeah, let's when you do the case study will output research. When you say, let's say you have made this approach ontology or the last outputs for me, okay, you have made a let's say a case for a mobile application, let's say in different purposes. So that is your outcome, no? So how you map it? Let's say let's say you have this research question 1 will correspond to the first approach, then second to second. Is it for all the researchers will be like that, or is just a question to Dr. Azizah?
I think for this your question, sorry, Mujitaba.
Yeah.
Sorry, for this your question, I think you can consult 2 or 3 people. One, I was fortunate to attend a research methodology for software engineering delivered by Prof. Razia and Prof. One, and also I can't remember the other name. Okay.
Okay.
So by attending that class, I understand a lot about software engineering research generally, and also you can always talk to Dr. Nora Azizah for things like this, because she's also my source of guidance and also Prof. Razia.
Okay. Mujtaba, have you done the research methodology class?
Yes, I attended, but I have lots of questions. It is not so easy from industry background. I write some very, very short, sentences like industry. They are shortcut. When we do, let's say, when we write, then we should elaborate in a big manner, So I'm trying to learn those things, Yes. So, inshallah.
So basically, this is somehow when you do your proposal defense for your first assessment, or maybe during your Viva as well. So somehow you can get the overview, the big picture of your all what you have done. Okay. So for example, this is actually from your chapter 1, but then you have to make it clear. Look at as a big picture why you did the objective 1, what is the output from the objective 1. So all the research questions should map to the objective. That's why the importance of the problem background. Okay, so it's with to your research questions, and from the research question, then you create or you design your objective, all the objective. So each of that should give some output. Okay, so this is somehow the overview or big picture what the researcher have done normally. Okay.
Okay. Thank you. The last one.
Dr. Adham want to.
Yes, it's the what you call for those, how to write, let's say when I finish with, let's say, literature things, what I do, can I also present like Salisu? Maybe you can give us more hints, that how to publish also, So you have, mashallah, you have seven, or maybe it will be 7 papers. It is wonderful, yeah. So how to start also, that will be a question, with the publication. Do you hear
Sorry,
me?
Mujitaba, is the question for me or for Dr. Azizah?
Yeah, for you first, yet as a, let's say, student, how you got so much time to also to to do those things, yeah. So mashallah, it's like per day, how many hours you worked, just to get an idea as a motivation,
Inshallah, Dr. Mujitaba, when just talk to Dr. Razia and Dr. Azizah, when we have the time, inshallah, we can do some kind of discussion so that we can share experience. You can also share your experience with us and other students also.
Okay, sure, inshallah, that will be fine, not to disturb others. Thank you very much. Yes. Okay, thank you, and good luck to you, inshallah.
Okay.
Thank
you, Mr. Bala. Okay, Dr. Azizah, maybe after this, the sharing session, the lecturer can share two topics, research methodology in general and how to publish. How to publish in impact factor journal.
Next session lah, sama-sama lah.
Maybe I can propose Dr. Dayang lah kot.
Yes.
Dr. Dayang. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Adham, for the suggestion.
Assalamualaikum. Sorry, Doctor.
Yes.
I am not sure. Last time, Dr. Dayang and also Dr. Razia and Dr. Wan arranged one software engineering research methodology class. I'm not sure if the class is still open. It is a very nice and very important class. I believe other students can benefit so much because I enjoy the class and I learn a lot.
I think that is somehow for the research methodology class, right? For the software engineering student.
Yes.
I'm not sure this semester. I think for the new student, it's still on, but it's somehow online. So that's why the online and the face-to-face, the way of research methodology conduct of class different, because when you have face-to-face, maybe you can ask the detail to the facilitator, right? So so somehow I think all the students have to undergo the research methodology class, I think. Okay, but maybe after this we will try to have the sharing related to the methodology or whatever, how to publish, something like that, maybe after this.
Okay, Doctor, thank you.
All right, any other questions? Okay, so I hope for those who have done attend this colloquium, can you please check the chat room, please fill up the attendance form in the chat room, and if you are not filled up the form that I have shared in your group, please fill up. Okay, and also the schedule that I have mentioned, that you have to mention to Lukman. Okay, what date book, what you want to book your slot. Okay, for your session later on. Okay, but then I just have a minor comment for the Salisu presentation. That is not much. It's related to your slide. Maybe I think for the page 15, I think your research framework and research process in one page. I think you better make it different slide. I mean page apa tu? Your slide for research framework, one slide, then research process in another one
Okay.
slide, because it's look very cramped in one, because you put two research framework and research process in one slide. Okay.
Okay, doctor. Thank you.
Later on, other is very small things. Maybe there is no labeling for your table. There is no label for your figures, something like that. That's just a small things for the slide. Okay.
Thank you.
Normally, for the Viva, there is 20 minutes to 30 lah. Okay. So
Okay.
the maximum is normally 30 minutes. So please make it short. Okay. I think you already made it short, but the way you present, I mean, you have to make sure try to make it 20 to 30 minutes lah. All right.
Okay, doctor. Thank you.
So normally it's 20 minutes, but some for Viva it can be extended to 30 minutes lah. But I'm not sure your Viva will be, because you is it face to face or still online again? I'm not sure yet. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Thank you.
So for others, if there is no question, any other member?
No question from me.
Okay, so if there is no questions, we end our session for this colloquium with Surah